Hey everybody, welcome back to NikkiT.live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with Matt Kane from the Astro core team. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, doing great. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's kind of funny for a bit of small context. Me and Matt used to work together at Netlify, and he joined the Astro team, and they happen to have a meetup in Montreal uh, in May of this year, and so he actually ended up coming along for the ride. So it was just great to see him there too. But for for folks that might not know you, Matt, I gave a bit of it away, but I guess who are you? Where are you working at these days? What have you been up to? Feel free to shamelessly plug away.
All right. Thanks. Now I'm currently working Astro. So on the working for the Astro company, the Astro technology company.
Yeah.
I'm core maintainer on the Astro project. So I'm mostly working on the open source Astro project, which it's great to have that as my job. Yeah. So I've also do various other random open source projects. Some of them related, some of them unrelated. Um, the biggest one that I do is Unpick, which is an image cross-platform image framework. So it's got like components for displaying web images on basically every major framework, so you can show your images all correctly and all sized and everything.
Okay.
Which actually made that last year, started that last year, and it's now super popular. It's getting tens of thousands of npm downloads and is used in various like official things,
Yeah.
like for the different frameworks. So yeah, but basically I do a lot of open source stuff, and I've done a lot of and I've done that for a very long time. But Astro is
Yeah.
my main thing.
Yeah. And like you're no stranger to frameworks. We worked together on the frameworks team at Netlify, but you were also previously a core maintainer at Gatsby, and I'm not sure when you started doing open source, but uh, I would consider you being a pretty prolific open source contributor.
I did. I looked at the thing showing my first GitHub commit the other day, and my
Okay.
first GitHub commit was to PhoneGap plugins,
Oh, okay,
which was
okay.
about 15 years ago. But I mean, I did pre um, pre GitHub open source stuff a little bit as well. But yes, so
Okay.
I've done a lot of open source for quite a while. I've through Netlify, a lot of it I've contributed to most of the front end frameworks out there. Some of them
Yeah.
tiny little bits, and some of them big chunky things. As you said, I worked at Gatsby before, and so I was on the core framework team there as well. So, and I did, some of the main thing that I did there was I did the Gatsby image component there as well. So that's kind of a bit of a theme.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of image stuff.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And yeah, I didn't realize you did the image component, or maybe you told me that at some point. But yeah, like you've worked on Unpick now, which is a really cool project as well. And um, I think you recently, like, we're gonna talk about the content layer, but I think you recently collaborated with Colby from Cloudinary to help out with the Astro Cloudinary integration, or was that just all Colby? Or
it, I mean, it was mostly Colby, but a
okay,
lot of the I did help out with him, and we sort of we the Cloudinary and Astro partnered on that as well, so they gave us some
okay,
sponsorship, which was really great.
cool.
But I've one of the one of the interesting bits is that a lot of the Cloudinary SDKs and components have got Unpick inside them,
Okay,
and
okay.
because of the way that Unpick works, it's quite modular. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's their Astro component, and I think their Svelte component, possibly, or was it the Solid? Anyway, some of
Okay.
their components from their own SDKs use Unpick under the hood, because it lends itself to that pretty well. So it's much easier than writing your own image component, as you can just plug it in. But
Okay.
so yes, so I've done, and I know Colby from way back, actually from when I was doing the Gatsby image stuff. That was when
Okay,
I
okay.
first worked with Colby, because I was super keen to get him get Cloudinary working on with Gatsby early on, but that was that was nearly 5 years ago now. So that's 4
Okay.
years ago. Yeah.
Also, I'm just seeing the chat. I was deeply listening to what you were saying, but Colby's in the chat over on Twitch. So hey, Colby. Uh, Fuzzy. I honestly don't know Fuzzy's real name, but he used to work on the Astro Core team as well. Um, he,
Okay.
uh, he moved on to elsewhere, but I will figure out what Fuzzy's real name is one day. It's kind of like I don't know, like who is Batman, but um, and also hey, Violated Sign, thanks for joining, and everybody else who's on YouTube or wherever else you're at, we see you. Cool. So yeah, so I guess let's talk a bit about the content layer here, and like, oh, I guess you know what, let's maybe back up even just a little bit more for folks who might not be familiar with Astro. I guess like what would be the TLDR for you in terms of like if somebody said what is Astro?
So Astro, we have called ourselves the framework for content driven sites, and that's kind of where we still focus ourselves. We've kind of expanded the capabilities, but really the kind of core of what we do is about your content driven sites, which is things like blogs, but it's
Yeah.
kind of portfolios, marketing sites, and then sort of expanding it a bit further. E-commerce, I'd say, was considered part of it. So
Okay. Yeah.
you can use you can use lots of different front end frameworks inside Astro, and that means you can do building your dashboard or your SPA app or whatever if you really want to, and
Yeah.
many people do, we do, but at its heart, Astro is about content, and it's about
Okay.
making it really easy to build great sites around your content and whatever your content is. And I think one of the things that really drew me to it is it reminded me of the bits that I liked about Gatsby when I first saw it, in that you could just get a load of markdown content and
Okay.
suddenly you've got, build a website out of it. And that was kind of the thing that really clicked with me with Gatsby many, many years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, know, Gatsby's got its own things, but Astro, um, Astro is just it's very much the kind of, it starts off without JavaScript. By default, you don't have JavaScript in there, but
Yeah.
you can then add it bit by bit, using islands, and so it's got that kind of architecture that is kind of, I think, very easy to get into. That's certainly what I
Yeah.
found when I first started working with it.
Yeah. I feel that because did a live. Well, I did a couple live streams with Ben Holmes, your coworker. One was at Dev 2, I think, when he was still working on Slinkity, which is like it
Yeah,
was part
yeah.
of 11D, and I think that's one of the things that sold the team on him working with the Astro core team. But yeah, we did another one, and it was the first time I'd used Astro, and I just found it didn't hurt my brain to actually write Astro components. I didn't have to think too much about it. It's the it's got the single file component structure where you can have like the scope CSS, and the only thing that was really different was the code fences for for the server side JavaScript or TypeScript. But honestly, that wasn't really a big deal. And I think one thing I was talking to Matthew Phillips because he was at Netlify Compose last week where we both gave talks, and I was telling him how it was pretty ingenious that, and I think he said Nate, who used to work with you, created this, but Astro.props,
Mhm.
and because like I've done a ton of React, a lot of people have done React, so when I came there and I just did Astro.props. Like I knew exactly what to do, and then like it's not JSX per se. It's really probably more really just HTML with some templating syntax. Maybe we could speak about that, but it just didn't hurt my brain. I was like able to like my stream site NikkiT.live for the live streams I do, it's literally all Astro components. Originally, I was going to be like, okay, maybe I'll throw in some Solid or Preact or React, and I didn't need to, and I just did it all in the Astro components because there's nothing really super interactive in it. Most of the stuff I do is with CSS if there's anything interactive, and like at some point I probably will have something. But to your point about like there being no JavaScript, like there's literally no JavaScript. It's not like there's some you know base piece of JavaScript for the framework for it to actually function. There's like literally no JavaScript, and that's kind of refreshing. And I, I don't know, just getting back to what I was saying, like it just really didn't hurt my brain to write Astro components, and I can't really give a clear explanation why, but it just, I mean, obviously I've done a lot of front end web dev, and like I'm used to like vanilla stuff too, even outside of framework. So maybe it was a bit of that too, but it was just felt pretty natural to write the components.
Yeah, I mean, I find it's very much like just writing HTML but with
Hmm.
components in there. So like,
Yeah, exactly.
imagine if you write a bit of HTML and then you want a special component in there, all you need to do is import it. And it's kind of got that thing from the frameworks like React in that you can just import a component, but
Yeah, yeah,
they are not functions or anything, are just, an Astro file looks like a piece of HTML because it pretty much is just a piece of HTML. And you can template stuff in there with the same sort of syntax as JSX. So, it'll be familiar to anyone who's used any of those sort of things. And the server side code is literally just a bit of code fence up at the top. You just put in your server side code in there. And
yeah,
client side code is literally a script tag. Now, you just put the script
yeah,
tag in there, it does all the magic of, hoisting it and, code splitting and all that kind of stuff. But when you're writing it, it feels like you're just writing an HTML file with vanilla CSS, vanilla JS in it. And CSS is
yeah,
the same. You put a style tag in there, type your styles in, and they get all scoped and everything, and it works fine. So
yeah,
I think this is what I love about it. Is it just feels like it feels like just writing, HTML. We're
yeah,
both pretty old. We've
yeah,
remember when it was mostly HTML back in those days, back in the
yeah,
olden
yeah,
days.
totally.
And I think that's what I like about it is it just feels like easier HTML. Um, it's got,
Yeah,
but
totally.
then you can drop into the fancy stuff when you need it. So if you need that bit of interactive thing, even if it's just a little button or something, that part of it is easy. Or you can do something really complicated, and
Yeah,
that's super easy as well. You literally can just import a React component into it and then tell it when
yeah,
to hydrate it, and it's just like in there, or solid or svelte or whatever, view
yeah,
or
yeah. And also I forgot to mention before the stream, if you see me looking over this way, it's not because I'm watching cat videos on YouTube. That's where the chat and everything is. um, but um,
no worries.
but yeah, I think that's one thing that's like super unique about Astro. It's like bring whatever client side framework you want, and like I don't think anybody's ever done that. I mean, like you could do this in a bespoke manner if you wanted to, but like it's it's pretty unique, and like you said, it's pretty seamless. It's like it's super interesting that you have Astro components, but then you can pull in. I mean, I don't think people do this typically, aside from maybe to showcase Astro features as a demo. But like, you could literally have an Angular app, a Solid app, and a React app in the same, or different components in the same app. Typically,
And
that's
you can
probably
share
not a good
state
idea.
between them as well, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's just, yeah, it's super fascinating. And like, I mean, we're gonna talk about the content layer, I know, but like, yeah, I think it's pretty awesome with the client directives where you can have it like when it loads, or if it's idle, or like as it gets onto the screen, which I'm assuming, are you using like the intersection observer for that part when you
Yeah,
scroll, or
yeah.
okay,
I think so. I
okay,
didn't work on it, but yeah, yeah, I'm pretty
okay.
sure that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically a lot of cool stuff. So I'm gonna just share my screen for a sec here, and we're gonna let's talk a bit about the content layer. So there's this blog post, which I'll drop in the chat for people to check out. So this is a deep dive blog post you wrote about the content layer. Like it, the content layer has been out, I think, since April in some form, and I know there was RFCs. I was in the Discord at some point when you were demoing parts of it, but it wasn't finished yet. Um, so I guess let's, because you were talking about Astro is obviously deeply deeply cares about content based sites. It's not just what they do, but but this is obviously a big chunk of it. So the content layer. So I guess like what is the content layer in a and we can go as deep as we want to in this because that's pretty much the main the main thing we're talking about today. So
Yeah. Yeah. So content layer is so it was April was probably when I'm not sure about when the very first bit was shown, but the very first
okay,
bits of kind of code writing on it, first started writing the code was like in June, I think, something like that.
okay,
Um, it was like one of the first things that I started working on when I joined Astro. Um, but yeah, but content collections were the kind of the original version there, and they were the bit that I was talking about for local development, for local files. So like your Markdown,
okay, yeah,
MDX, Markdoc, if you're into that kind of thing, one of the cool kids, and it's a way of organizing all of your content into a, a well typed collection, and
yeah,
then letting you load that and then use it anywhere in your site. So, you can get, say, a lot of people will have a folder that's called blog and filled with a load of markdown files. And you can just define a collection that points at those, and then you can go and create pages for each of
yeah,
those. And that's where we started from that. And that's been around now for about 18 months or something like that, since Astro 2, and it's
okay,
brilliant and everyone loves it. But one of the first things that people said when it came out was,
yeah,
I want this for all of my content, not just
yeah,
my
yeah,
local files. Yeah. How it is. Like, as soon as you start doing something, there'll be people in the Discord going, so I found this random private property in there, and now I've reverse engineered this bit and I'm injecting something into your compiler process. Basically,
yeah,
everyone, that's one of the things I love about the Astro community. It seems to be that people will always be trying to do that stuff. I know, it's the same with a lot of them, but Astro does seem
yeah,
particularly into it. But one of the things that people wanted the most was to be able to pull in other data sources. And
yeah,
people were doing crazy stuff like loading data and then writing it to files to make it so that the content collections could see it, and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff. But we wanted to take our time and do it, work out exactly what it was that we wanted, how to do it. We didn't want to rush in. So
yeah,
it was, I think the first RFCs were, I think, yeah, probably around April. Um, and this is what the content layer is it's kind of letting content collections break out from just folders of Markdown. And,
okay,
it still does folders of Markdown, does them in a more flexible way. So you can put them
yeah,
wherever you want, have them anywhere on disk, and use your own structure however you want. But the thing that they're built around is this concept of a loader. And the
mm-hmm,
loaders basically mean you can load from anywhere. And they are really simple. The most basic is literally just a function that returns an array of objects, and that gets you gets you
yeah,
some data. And you can then use that in the same way. You organize your data in the same way as you were organizing your markdown and so on. So you can just call get collection and use it to build some pages. And
yeah,
it's super. The idea is that it's supposed to be a very simple interface, and that you share the interface between all of your different sorts of data, and
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I love well a couple things. One, for if folks have never used the content collections, one of the huge selling points is the type safety you get with it. It's just nice when you're like building out templates with your content collection. But the the other thing too is like I've dabbled a bit with the content layer with your RSS feed one. We could talk about that after, but
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah.
uh, but it, I think I think what you said, how it's a simple interface, and like getting to those simple interfaces sometimes is a long process, and it doesn't mean it's simple under the hood, but exposing the simplicity is like is amazing because like I always come back to this example of Thule. They do like bike racks and like trailer hitches and stuff,
Yeah.
and I snowboard, so I have a Thule box on my roof, and this
I
is
can see
probably
mine out the window. It's just sitting, standing up against the wall.
but like I remember when these kinds of boxes came out, like maybe not a Thule box, but another brand, like you could open it, there's a hinge and you lift it up and you put your stuff in, and Thule went a different route. Like it still opens like that, but they put a lot more engineering effort into making a simple solution where it's like, oh, I'm on the left side of the car, I can open it. Oh, I'm on the right side of the car, I can open it. And the amount of time that went into building that initially was probably enormous. Uh, but the end result is simplicity. And like, I'm just calling that out because like simplicity doesn't always mean it's simple, but it's like the end usage of it being simplicity. And it sounds like that's kind of what you hit with the content layer here, because like just saying, just return an array of objects and then you're good to go, and like under the hood, if you're implementing your own, do whatever you need to get to that. But so I don't know, it's pretty elegant, I think.
I think it's one of these things that you've got to really get the balance there, because on the one hand, it's great having stuff just working, but the other hand, if there's too much magic, it makes it a bit hard to work out what's going on. And I think that
Yeah,
generally we've got the right kind of balance there. I mean, a lot of the types stuff is just amazing in the way that the types just work for
yeah,
everything, for so many of the stuff. So like it even works inside markdown files now. You
yeah,
can get that typed in there, and it's not just TypeScript types as well. It's full. It's because there's odd types. It can do stuff like complaining if your text is too long, your strings are too long,
yeah,
and and it seems really simple, but some other people like Erica have done amazing work that's
yeah.
a lot more complicated than it seems. And so my bit of it being the bit of the content layer, it's the same thing. We've tried to kind of keep it, the interface, easy to use
Hmm.
and just enough magic to just you know that little bit of delight, rather than
Yeah,
going, oh, what's going on here, why is something moved, who moved
yeah,
my thing, who's trying to be too clever there, you know
yeah, totally.
so I think that's kind of where we've gone on that. We've tried to get it as kind of
Cool,
as
cool.
as as happy, the happy path is kind of easy, and it's there when you're wanting something, it's there waiting for you.
Yeah. um there's a question in the chat from Fuzzy. I don't know if you have an answer to it, but I'm just gonna ask it anyways. And also, hey Abdumaran, good to see you. um and Fuzzy says also Erica is just awesome. But the
Yep, she
question
is.
is, can you load from a doc folder in the root of a mono repo and have the images and links all be self-referenced? That's he's
Yes, you
coming
can.
he's coming in hot with the
With
questions
very
already.
specific. Yeah, yeah. No, you can. That's one of the nice things now, is that because in the previous versions, all of your content had to be inside source content and then a folder one level deep in the
Yeah,
previous one. You can now put it wherever you want, and you stick a glob on there, and then all of the images and stuff, you can resolve them either relative to the file itself or relative to the root of the site, and they should all just work. So yes, yes, if that's what you want, that should work. And if it
cool.
doesn't, please
Please
report an
file
issue.
an issue. PR is
Yeah,
welcome. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, uh, I was mentioning file a PR, or sorry, file an issue or PR, but just one thing, because like B Dougie, my CEO, he just gave a talk at VConf, and he was just talking about the Vite ecosystem. And like, uh, this isn't a shill on the product I work on, but he was looking at the data, and Astro has like a very approachable community, like based on the way we calculate stats. And you also have a very low lottery factor, as we call it. So like for folks who may not know that term, it's bus factor, which is more morbid. Like what happens if Matt gets hit by a bus? Is the project in jeopardy? And it appears the Astro project, if literally all the core team won the lottery, the project would still be in a healthy state. And I don't know, that's kind of like a testament to the project, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what I felt when I first started working with Astro. Before I was working, employed, I found the community very welcoming. First, when I was a user, and then when I started to do a bit of contributing, I found it very welcoming. The Discord is
Hmm.
very active. There's everyone in there. So, I mean, our staff, it's where we spend our time as well. So and the community is very welcoming, and that's both with the code and the docs
Yeah,
and translations. I mean, the translation community is incredible.
yeah,
It's like some of my documentation will get a merged PR, and then they'll be like ping 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 ping, or suddenly all of the translations are pouring in straight away,
yeah.
because we've got
That's
really
pretty
good tooling
amazing.
for it. Because Lunaria is a thing that we've also open sourced, which is just the tooling for managing all of the internationalization and translation of the docs and everything. We've got loads and loads of languages. I don't know how many, maybe someone in the chat will know, but like
Yeah,
because this is the thing with a lot of the framework docs are just in English, but
yeah.
the Astro ones are very well widely translated.
Yeah, that is impressive because, like, I mean, I know Sarah on the core team who drives the whole docs initiative. She's doing an amazing job, but that is pretty incredible that people keep translations up to date, because those can be the kind of PRs where it's like, hey, I'd like to see this in French. They do a translation and they never come back, and then the translations get out of date. So that's pretty cool. Also, I was gonna say, Todd in the chat, a friend of mine, saying, "I need to move my site over to Astro. Love the accessibility of Astro as well." So yeah, it's yeah. There's a I don't know. I use, like, honestly, my go-to if I'm going to create a new project now would definitely be Astro. Like, I I haven't converted my blog yet. I got nerd sniped when the content collections came out after talking with Ben, and I I literally got about 75% of the way there, but like, not to get in the weeds too much, but like, I blog on Dev 2, and then I pull down my articles from there and they're markdown. But Dev 2's a Rails monolith, so they use liquid tags. So my site's currently in 11D, and I basically have short codes that translate the liquid tags. Like, I basically just do the same logic. And so when I got, excuse me, to the Astro part, I just ran out of gas because I literally did this all in one evening. But I'm gonna make a second attempt at it because, like, the content collections and now the content layer, it's just too tempting. Like, there's just bespoke stuff I did that I just don't really want to have to maintain. But like I was saying, for my live stream site, that's Astro now. And um, the talk I gave at Netlify Compose last week, I built it out with Astro, and I hadn't done any actual solid code aside from like little snippets, so I threw in solid in there as well. And yeah, again, just great experience. So okay, so we've kind of talked about the content layer and what it does and what it can give you, and there's definitely a bunch of community loaders that were built. Like, I know you've built several of them. I was testing out the RSS feed one last week. Um, but obviously people can make their own as well. Like, it's not just like out of the box ones. There's Is there like a, not SDK, but I guess there's probably docs on how to use the API to build this out.
Yes, there are, and I will yes, there are docs. They are all most of the docs are now on the 5.0 site. For
Okay.
the we've got this, but that is linked from the main docs site. But
Okay.
there are docs on the loaders about how to create them. There's quite a bit of information in there. If you scroll down on the left to the loader API. Um,
Where
oh no,
is
um, click on the thing at the top, the banner saying read our upgrade guide for the Astro 5
Oh,
beta.
okay. Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
and then on the side you can scroll down to the loader API and the in the docs on the side there.
Could I saw it
Other
some a content loader
development
API. There we
APIs is
go.
hidden by it has changed its name. Okay, yes, so that was previously
Okay.
loader, and now we've changed it to content loader to make it a bit clear. Now there's
Okay.
tons
Cool.
of stuff in there about how to do the loaders and everything. So
Okay.
um,
I'll just drop that in
I
the
think
chat for people.
yes, brilliant. Yeah. So there's quite a bit of stuff in there, but um, how do you feel about? Shall I show some loader stuff?
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
can do
Let's go
some
ahead and
on
do that.
stream here.
Your screen should still be sharing, so we'll just switch over to that view, and I'm just gonna bring OBS in front of me so I can see your
So
screen while you're doing it. Um, and folks in the
okay.
chat, Matt zoom things in, but if you're still having trouble reading it, just let us know, and I'll get Matt to zoom it in a little bit more.
Yeah, so yeah, let me know. I haven't zoomed in VS Code yet. When I open it up, I will do that. So I'm going to just start off with a there we go. I'm going to start off creating an Astro site. The ref next there. No, it's not saying I'm going to create a Next.js site instead.
Okay.
It's saying this is because I want to get the beta version. So um, this is I'm going to create a little site here. So what I'm going to do here is create, this is an Astro 5 site here. So this is why this is, why I said the ref next on there. So you can
Okay.
use content layer in Astro 4, but it's behind a flag. So I'm going to just move on to the beta here, the Astro 5 beta,
Okay.
and then give a give a little talk through on there. Oh, look, we've got our little Halloween themed Houston there.
Cool.
So um, I am going to go and open up VS Code with this because, yes, I trust myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
okay,
That
so
will. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
how's that size? So this is the Astro, the sort of the standard Astro site layout here.
Okay.
Um, I am going to define some content here. So at the moment, I'm going to start the dev server here, and we can just have a look um, about what it looks like. So
Okay.
as
Yeah.
the
And also, I love the little the dev toolbar as well that you have.
yeah, yeah, we got down there. Um, so this is the basic starter site. It's what you get when you first create an Astro site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start showing how to do to create a content collection. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a content config here. Content config.
Confit, it could be if
Um,
we're doing if you were also previously a
yeah,
chef, so maybe we're doing confit today
yes.
instead.
So that's when you get, it's like content config is when you get some content and then you cook it in goose fat for 12 hours. Um,
Oh man.
okay, so defining collections is how you start on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing some stuff with images because, as I've said,
Yeah.
that's my first love. Let's So what I was thinking of doing is doing a collection to just display some images. Let's start with that on a page. So content can be many different things, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start getting some uh, content from Unsplash. So I'm going to load
Okay.
some images from there. So um, I'm going to have a look the Unsplash API now. Unsplash, for people who are not aware of it, probably not many, but it's just tons of really good free to use images. And they've got a
Yeah.
pretty nice API as well. So I use it for like whenever I need placeholder stuff, but it's also just generally very good. I mean,
Yeah.
look, this is better than your standard stock stuff, and this is mostly all mostly all free things. But
Yeah.
they've got an API as well. So uh, and it's pretty good. It's a nice
Yeah.
set of
If
things. So getting a
just
random photo. So
I was gonna say if
So
you ever
what?
need to collaborate, my friend works there. Their offices are in Montreal. I hang out
Oh,
with them
right.
every now and then. So
So unpick supports them out of the box. But yeah, let's. It's. I'm gonna. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a thing for grabbing some photos, and I'm gonna display some photos on the in the collection. So,
okay,
um, but first I'm going to need to get an API key. So I've got an API key which I'm going to copy over my .env in another terminal.
okay.
Um,
Also, your coworker Sarah's in the chat on
Hi
Twitch.
Sarah, we were just talking about how great the docs are there. So um, okay, so now I've got this, and I've got my environment variables in there, which I'm not going to show. But this gives me an excuse to show one of the coolest new features in Astro 5, which is, well, it's actually is in Astro 4 as well now. But this is the environment variables, which,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
so I'm going to take a bit of a detour here just because they're so good. And, environment variables are annoying. It's very easy to forget the names for them and accidentally leak them to the browser. And um, there's different ways of loading them in different environments and yada blah blah. But um,
Yeah.
we've now got a new way of doing it, and it's really nice. So um, what I've got here is this is just inside the config, and you just define your env in here,
Okay.
um, and then it's got a schema, and then all that is telling it what the keys are. And one of the really nice things about this is that it will check that those values are
Okay.
set, um, and it will fail the build early on when it first starts.
Oh, that's nice.
And so
As
you can
opposed to
type them.
prod.
Yeah. Um, so I'm going to type this as a string. Um, so this is only going to be used on the server. So I can tell it that it's context server, no magic required, no tainting of anything.
Okay.
This literally just means now that it can't be used in the client at all. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but this is secret as well. So I'm going to say access secret. And now this will not be available anywhere else, will only be available on the server and will be kept secret on there. So let's see if this is working straight away. But I'm going to hide that, and let's get some content. So as I
Yeah.
said before, you can literally just um, load some data and return an
Yeah.
array. So the thing here is, so if we've got a loader can just be a function that returns anything. So
Yeah.
um, it just basically can be, anything that's an array of objects with. So this sort of thing would work,
Okay.
but let's get some real images in here. And what happens
Yeah.
here is that when you run a build on the site, it calls this loader and then makes it available, that you can then, and it caches it locally. When
Yeah.
you rebuild again later, it will let you. It will not need to necessarily download it again, if you've got it cached locally.
Okay.
Um, so what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to make this an async function, and then I'm going to, well, it Seems pretty clever. Um,
Yeah,
but I've just this is the random thing there.
yeah, yeah.
Please tell me if I'm rashing too much or anything on it.
No, 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 that's good. That's good. So you're just getting the random pick of the day right now, from
Yeah, so I'm
Unsplash.
just going to be grabbing a single, at the moment here, I'm just going to be grabbing a single image and I'm going to just load it and see what happens. Now, I I can try, um,
I think you need to. Do you need to return it? The loader seems to be complaining. At least
yeah,
TypeScript
yeah.
is.
I'm going to just do that for now. It will
Okay.
probably complain, but let's, well, obviously I'm not actually showing anything at the moment, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've
Yeah, it would
I've
would
missed a
help if we
rather
load the
important thing
content
here.
collection.
Yeah, I need to actually export the collections there so that it knows that they exist. So this is the images. I'm returning these collections here. All right, it's syncing the content, and then let's actually let's just do the let's see if anything. There we go. OAuth token is invalid.
Okay, yeah. So which we need. Like you added the environment variable, but we still need that. So
Yeah, still need to actually get the environment variable. So
okay.
we will
If you want to
do.
set that, so I can take your screen off screen for a sec. If you want to
No,
set up
it's all
the.
right because I've got my environment variable, so it will
Okay,
be
cool.
right. That's not what I want because I am using Astro
Uh,
env. So
uh,
I've got that
oh,
there. Where's that come from? Ah, my word! Add import from Astro env server,
okay,
and this is typed. So this is we know this is a string, but it is imported and it is in there.
okay, cool.
Let's get that final
I was
comma
gonna say,
in.
can you collapse the sidebar if you just Command V,
Ah,
just so
yes. Yeah.
since we, I mean, if we need to open it, we can for sure. But okay,
Yeah, yeah.
perfect.
So there we go there. And um, let me just, okay. So let's have a look. There we
Y-
go. So we've got an image,
Yeah. Okay,
a
so it's
random
loading up
image.
there.
Yeah.
The I was gonna say too, with the Astro colon M slash server, that's also, it's also nice to use that because, like, as you know, I know it's changing in Dino. They're bringing in process.env, but like by using your abstraction, you don't have to worry about process.env or import.env or any of those. So
Yeah,
or
exactly.
meta.env, sorry.
Or import meta env
Yeah,
or, the Cloudflare get env thing, all of those things, this abstracts it all
yeah,
away. So
yeah, that's cool.
it's one of those things that is just like it seems little, but it's just such a great quality of life improvement there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
no, for sure.
yeah. So I've got an image here. I've got a place for it. I'm going to just actually show how to get it now.
Okay.
So let's do the standard thing of getting rid of everything. Um, let's just check that that is still there. Nothing there. Okay. So to get the data now is to you just need to do get is the you use get collection. So what I'm going to do is do images equals wait get collection from Astro content images. Oh my word, it's got some image stuff in there. Um,
Nice.
so it's an array of things with data. Now the data is typed as any at the moment. We'll get back to that.
Hmm.
But obviously we want something better than any. But let's just see what we've got for now. Oh, that's being too clever. Um, so what we can do is images, map, image. Um, let's put that in. No, pre.
Yeah, and this is again just I can't understate how cool it is that you get the IntelliSense because of the strongly typed collection. It's just a really nice quality of life improvement, whether you're using the content layer like we are right now, or like the traditional. Well, I guess the traditional way of like just saying grab the glob of Markdown is still part of just considered part of content layer now. Or
Yep, yep. So you
okay.
can do that as well. So this is there's a new loader called Glob, which is a loader of
Oh,
glob,
okay.
which is what is then used for loading data from the disk. But that's how, as you know, as Fuzzy was asking, how do you do it for like random places? Well, you can do it like that, and you can do that and just stick the glob pointing to wherever you want. Obviously, I wasn't returning any data there, so that's why we weren't getting any data.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but
Oh yeah, you were returning the empty array initially. Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So, what have I got anything inside here? Okay, so I am showing the ID, but obviously it's black on black. So let's do something about that.
Okay.
Um,
Uh, Folks in the chat are saying Astro improving the quality of life for developers and those using the internet since 2021.
yes. Oh, and let's put that main back in there.
Okay, yeah. Accessibility for the win. Use
Yeah.
those landmarks.
Oh, there we go. Oh, and let's do the other. Right, we have an ID.
All right.
Progress.
Woo. All
Right.
right. Thanks for
Let's
joining the stream. Goodbye,
Yep.
everybody.
Now that is my image gallery. Um,
Yeah.
let's do something better. And so one of the things that content collections have always let you do, and content layer is the same, is they can let you define a schema.
Okay.
Um, and we use Zod to define the schema, and that can be then that's used for several things. That can be used that will validate the input. You can also use it to transform the input. So
Yeah.
you know, if you want something different to come out than what you've got in there, you can transform it. But it is also then used to generate the TypeScript types for the data. Now, I logged the data from this up there, and if you want me to write some Zod types for this, then join me for the rest of the stream writing out Zob types for this whole thing. If Ben was here, I'm sure he'd be all over that. Ben's like super into Zod and probably could just
Yeah.
throw out those Zod types on his own. But it's 2024 here, so I am going to ask Claude to do it for me.
Yeah.
Um,
And what was I gonna say about? Oh yeah, yeah. So you're saying like obviously the content collections are strongly typed. If when it pulls in like your loader data, it will fail the build if it doesn't match for some reason. Like maybe,
yeah,
uh, which is nice because I saw that when I was using this was pre content layer, but with when I was just importing a glob of Markdown, and there was differences in some of my blog posts, and it wasn't the types weren't correct because like some things were optional, so I tweaked it as I went along. But I found that really nice because again, once you get into production, you don't want to end up seeing like why is this missing or et cetera, et cetera. So um, cool.
so I've got ID slug created at bloody blah. Now that seems to give a pretty good. Yeah, it's not got everything, but that's
Good enough.
That's pretty good. It's good enough. I could actually see if ChatGPT could do better. Um,
I still haven't used the 4.0 yet. I should just get my old coworker that works there, Tama, on the helpline. Uh, Fuzzy saying some say Ben was one of the first Kryptonians to kneel before Zod. Yes, potentially. uh, I understood that reference. Yes.
Right. Well, while this is thinking, I will start off with this one, which covers most of the stuff,
Cool.
and let's um, let's define that schema. Um, so I'm going to, where is Zod? Zod.
Oh yeah, you gotta import it. I guess one while you're before you continue with that, I'm curious. So like, say I pull in the loader data like right now, like we're just fetching the Unsplash API. We got some IntelliSense there initially when you were like your ID and stuff. It so basically like without typing any kind of Zod schema, the content layer will infer either via the JSON payload or schema that it knows what the type is, and then you're adding a Zod schema right now to just further refine things, or
So what it was inferring there before was just the standard bits that are on everything. So at the
okay.
time
Oh, so
there,
I didn't realize that was just the content layer stuff. Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
so the data itself was still being typed as any, but now
Okay.
we've
Okay.
got something there that seems like it might be more real. So what we can do is see if we're able to get um, yeah, URLs, thumb. Let's get the
Okay.
alt in there.
Yeah. Gotta keep it accessible. This is a
Uh,
side note, but I feel like alt text is somewhere where AI could totally help in an accessible way. Like there's definitely places where probably doesn't, but like I feel like this is like a definitely a good place where AI could come into
yeah,
play.
I think I get from reading some of these, I get the impression that some of these have been generated by AI, but um, I'm not totally sure. But let's have a look. Oh my word! It's an
There we
image.
go.
There we go.
Cool. Looks like a cool album
So
cover.
it's,
Uh,
yeah, it's quite abstract. Maybe we can give it a topic. So I was thinking of doing some travel stuff. So we both like Montreal. I've only been there once, but I think what was the I think it's
Old Port.
query. Yeah,
Okay.
query equals um, or let's do
Poutine. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I'm
ah
not sure if that's thinking.
that's the wrong
Also,
poutine.
yeah, because like just for context, Vladimir Putin in French, his name is Poutine. So, and I never understand why they translate people's last names, honestly, but that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, we want
there we
potatoes and
go.
cheese, not dictators. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe put poutine and Quebec, maybe.
Mm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refactor this though, because we've only got one image coming through here, which is um, not particularly fun. I guess we do. Does that work? Might work.
Okay, because that should be an array at this point. Or
Yeah, I'm not.
but if it's the Does the random photo of the day support a limit or like a count? I
I
can't
think it
remember.
might. Yeah, this is an array
Okay, yeah, yeah.
here. Um,
Oh wow, it's even got like the
but the
EXIF data and stuff. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
there's definitely
something's
stuff in there.
something's going on there. Now, I'm not sure why we're getting nothing in that, but let's have a look. Let's hmm, so something has changed there. Um,
Is it possible the type is different now? It shouldn't be, but
it might just be that the right. So this thinks that tags are required now or something. So
oh, okay, okay.
let's see if ChatGPT's done any better with its Zod thing here. So um, I think I'm going to copy over the one that I prepared earlier. Um,
Colby's saying, "Who's gonna snip that? We don't. We want potatoes and cheese, not dictators." Uh,
where were we? Let's. So all I've done here is got a new thing
okay,
here with a schema. So
but this is a
um,
good thing. This is also showing that like it's not liking the type. So that's good too.
yeah, so it was a validation problem there that was there we go. Now so it's loaded that. Um,
Okay, so now we've
hooray!
got. All right, cool. Welcome to
Lots
Unsplash.
of lots of poutine. Um, so what I am concerned about now is that I've only got a limit of 50 requests allowed
Oh, okay, yeah.
on the Unsplash API. So it's a great excuse for me to um, show one of the other things that this can do, which is the caching. Um, so to do the caching, what we're going to do is switch away from using this particularly this basic form of loader here, which is just returning an array. And then I'm going to create an object array, an object loader, which is a bit more
Okay,
powerful and lets us do more interesting things. So um,
yeah.
I'm I'm going to create this. I'm going to create a new file here. Um, let's call it image loader. And what I'm going to do is copy across. I'm going to start off by copying across this here.
Okay.
Let's kill this so I don't keep hammering the API while I'm
Oh, yeah.
um,
Get throttled while you're just
yeah
trying to fix the
saving
throttling.
saving stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that the syntax is slightly different for a loader, but I mean hopefully from what people saw there is that this is the syntax for this for the other type of loader is very simple. You literally just return an array, and
Yeah.
that's dead easy. Um, so what I'm going to do here is define ourselves a loader, and the kind of pattern that we use for these is to make a function that returns a loader, because that then lets you pass in
Okay.
config stuff in there. But we don't have any config stuff at the moment for this, but let's just start out creating one. So let's do export. Let's see, export function image loader. We've got no config stuff at the moment, but what I'm going to do is um, we're going to return. So I'm going to type this with the loader type so I
Okay.
get this right. Loader is a type in Astro loaders there. And it's already complaining. So now I'm going to return the loader object here. So it
Okay.
doesn't like this because it needs a name
Missing
and
the
a load
properties.
function. Yeah. So let's start with name, image loader. That works for me. And so it's not quite as simple as this because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise we would be just doing the same thing. What we want to do
Yeah.
here is have a bit more control over what's going on. So um, what I'm going to start with here is show how to use the store. So the
Okay.
store here is the data store that we use for keeping all of the image, or well, all of the data from the content collections.
Okay.
It's to call it a database is pushing it a bit. It's basically a key value store. I was going to say glorified key value store, but it's not even particularly glorified.
Okay.
It is literally a key value store. But what this is going to let us do is it's going to mean that we don't have to hit the API every time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I am going to do then is I'm going to say let's allow it to, we'll pass in an array of subjects
Okay.
and it will get us one image for each topic. So let's make that our uh, make that our type for the
Okay.
configuration. So um,
And again, this is just a function, so like the world's your oyster here. You can do whatever you want with it.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, in a lot of cases, this will be something more like, you will pass in your server endpoint, or your credentials if you're not using environment variables, or
Okay.
some of the things, if you would things like the airtable thing, you pass in, you tell it uh, which base to use, and these kind of things. You would basically just pass it in there, and then that's in scope. So what I'm going to
Okay.
do here is I'm going to go absolutely crazy and just put that in there, and I'm going to do just one image for this,
Okay.
and so we'll get one for each one, and let's make this a function. And let's get this. Might as well just return that straight away. We've got a vague idea of the shape of the object. Okay, so load image, pass it a subject, it gets a random image, and then we save it. Well,
Okay.
we will save it. That's what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
So inside our loader here, we'll get rid of this. And we've got our, oh yeah, we don't need this. So we've got our store here.
Okay.
And then what we will do is we will, let's call that topics. And that's about right. Let's do this. Let's do this properly.
Okay.
And I will, to make it easier to read, I'm not gonna do these in parallel. I will do them one by one.
Okay.
So what I will do is oh,
But yeah, if you're doing this at home for performance reasons, definitely do it in parallel.
Yeah, yeah. So I some of these ones are like they're going to take more time, and you will load them. You want to load them all in parallel. I'm going to do it. So that's what the promise all thing would be for there. But I'm going to make the code just a little bit easier to read,
Okay.
and just show what we're doing here. So let's do. There's the data. We've got the data here. And now we will have this data and we're going to stick it in the store. So what we need for the store is an ID as well. Now those
Okay.
IDs in there, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the topic on there. So
Okay.
and I will use that so that I can make sure I've only got one for each image thing. I'll show you, I'll explain it a little bit more in the second. But
Oh yeah, yeah,
what
no
I'm going to
worries.
do, I'm going to do store set ID is topic and data is data. So the image loader here, you will pass in all of those things and then it will set the topic for each of those. Now,
Okay.
as it stands here, we've achieved precisely nothing. We're doing exactly the same as what we were doing before.
Yeah.
What we can do though is if store has topic, continue. So
Okay.
this will mean that if there is already an image with that topic in the store, we won't download it again. We'll just load
Yeah.
it one per thing, and then it will be the same every time. And that way, we will protect my very low limit on the uh, for the rate limit for Unsplash. I mean,
Okay.
to be fair, I would have a higher rate limit if this wasn't a demo account that I just created
Yeah, yeah,
with
no,
these
no, no, for sure,
these
for sure.
50 images. But if you're thinking about, say, if you're hitting, most APIs are going to have some limits, or it could be like if you're hitting one of these APIs that costs money, like one of these
Yeah.
LLM APIs or something. That's another reason to cache these things. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
totally.
going to do here. I'm going to cache this thing here, um, and so we've got this image loader function here. We pass it an array of topics. We loop through the topics. We grab an image for each one, and let's while we're at it, let's keep an eye on our rate limit. So
Okay.
let's um, it's
Just have, I
correct.
guess,
That is
some.
what it is. That is the right header name.
Okay. Thank you,
Thanks, Copilot.
Copilot.
Um, so Copilot clearly does know the Unsplash API. Right, let's fire this bad boy up and have another go.
And so I get the
That's not going to
caching
work
part.
because I haven't actually put the bloody thing in the config. So
Oh yeah, yeah, you've got
um,
the old one still,
let's
or you cut it out.
yeah. So let's do this properly. Um, what I'm going to do is loader will be
And then we need to pass in the topics, I think.
yeah. So the topics. Let's do. We could do those, but let's do. What other?
Toronto,
Let's do my
Vancouver,
hometown, which is
Bristol.
Bristol.
There we go.
Yeah, and let's do Dublin because I was there last week.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
what's going on here?
Oh, I was wondering where that
Ah,
offsite was. I saw some pictures.
yeah. um,
Oh yeah, it's a prop. Not prop. Sorry, it's a name
there we
parameters in the.
go. Okay, so that's what we've got on there. Let's fire this up and see how we get on. Something has happened. Seems promising. Let's go and have a look.
All right, there we
Oh my
go.
God, that's apparently
Nice.
Montreal. Um,
Yeah, we. I'm always outside with a gas mask on when I go.
so what I want to do is these are all let's make sure these are all in landscape orientation, which we can also set on the API. Uh,
They do really have a good API.
yeah. So I've loaded all of that. Oh no, it saved it. It hasn't hit the API
Uh,
again.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
yeah, you're not being throttled yet because it's yeah, we've got it in this. We stored it in the store.
but we do actually want to hit this again because we're writing our development thing. So passing in dash dash force will force it to reload it.
Okay.
And now will give us, there we go. It's given us a
Okay.
set of
Nice.
images. Now these are all our landscape. They are not all the same size and shape, and they're all a bit small because I've chose thumb. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you know where I'm going to go next. Do you know where I'm going to
Yeah.
go next?
Yes. 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 Let's make them at least have similar dimensions.
I'm going to reach for unpick Astro here. Um, as I said before, unpick supports unsplash out of the box, so we'll be able to see how easy it is. So
Uh,
we've got this here with these. So if we look at these, we can see that this is just an image source. It's a normal image. No magic on there
yeah.
at all. So
Um,
I'm going to
I,
change that.
I guess one question I had about the it's great that you can cache the images to avoid rate limiting or just cache it for whatever reasons you want to. I feel like this exists, but I'm not sure if it does. But I imagine you can set a time limit to like I don't know if it uses caching headers to invalidate the store or is it just an
So
internal mechanism?
I will, let's get on to this. So
Okay.
what you've got complete control over this about how you decide to do it.
Okay.
But what you've got access to is a meta store, and that is perfect. That is exactly what this is for. So what you could
Okay.
do here is we can say meta. Let's get meta get last update. Now this is an arbitrary thing. You
Okay.
can put whatever you want in there. It just returns a string, um, and we can do and then we can do uh,
Yeah, just check when it was last modified and
um, so and then we can and then basically when then we can check whether that was within a certain amount of time,
yeah.
and then skip if we want, and then we can do meta set and put the time in there and everything. I'm not going to go into all the logic on there at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah, no,
but
no, that's
that's
cool.
basically, and that's what I use in the RSS feed one.
Okay.
And what I use for that is I'm storing the last modified headers from the response. So like you were saying, and I also store the e tag headers, and then I
Okay.
can use that to send a conditional request for the RSS feed. And a lot of the servers will support that for those. And it will just mean that then it's not going to bother updating the RSS feed
Okay.
if it hasn't changed. So that's a nice, simple thing. So we don't do any built-in logic there for timeouts, but we let you do it and give you the tools to make it pretty simple
Okay, cool.
to do that.
Yeah, I figured you had
So
something for it.
it, yeah. So let's make this, I don't know, width equals, right. So they should all be the same size now.
Yeah.
Uh, let's get rid of the force. We don't need to force anymore. Don't need to use the force.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
So those are the same images. They're all the same size now. And actually, I was still passing in the thumb, but if you inspect this, you'll see that it's no longer the thumbnail image. It has actually converted it. So that's one of the things that unpick can
Okay, yeah.
do. So it will have grabbed that thumbnail image, but from that it will convert it to uh, a larger image.
Okay.
That's,
Can you zoom in the dev tools real quick just for a minute, just so
yeah,
folks
I'm
can
trying to remember how to do
see?
that.
I see the look. If you just do command plus plus, it'll zoom the. If you focus in the
Yeah,
dev tools, it'll.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it doesn't seem to want to do that.
Oh, weird. Mine usually does that. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know
anyways.
if that's just me about Firefox being weird, but I definitely can do it.
Oh, oh yeah. Maybe it's different in Firefox. I'm typically using Arc. So, but
Yeah,
anyways. But yeah, like you said, it's not the thumb. It's a larger image now.
yeah. Ah, but yeah, so
Okay.
the other thing the other thing it's done is it's created a full source set with all of the different sizes, so that it can be a responsive image,
Okay. Yeah.
um, and it's put in the styles to make it resize like that. So you've got all of
Okay. Yeah.
the styles in there
Yeah.
um,
No, that's super nice.
for that. Um, so you've got a way of then just loading these in there. So you can, if we wanted to, now we can create a page for each one. So
Okay.
um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this loader to make it so that the topic is, we're going to slugify it. So let's, and then the reasoning will become clear shortly. And let's slugify equals, yeah, that'll do.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. I see. And then all of a sudden you could have separate pages and stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
So what I will do now is I'm going to create a page here. So this is going to mean that we can now do this is the syntax for creating a dynamic route on with Astro.
Yeah.
I'm going to do get static paths, which makes it render this.
Oh,
Why
I
isn't it?
think you need your code fences. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So get static pass, which is like a pretty common thing in some other frameworks too. Like Next.js does
Yeah.
this. I think Remix has this too. I think I can't remember.
Yeah. It's very common pattern, but we can now use this. We can go we can do get collection in here, um, images. So and then we will do.
Oh yeah, we'll need to filter or. Oh no! Oh yeah, sorry. You're generating each page. Yeah, so you map over. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to do slug is the image ID, and then I will do props is image. What have I
And
got wrong?
what's it saying? Uh,
Um,
oh, it doesn't satisfy get static pass. You're returning an array of
am I returning the wrong thing there?
the slug is the image ID. That
Params.
makes sense.
Oh, that's there. Yeah,
Oh, okay. It's
misted it
separate.
in the wrong place.
Wrong
Um,
object. Yeah.
yeah. So you can get individual images with by just doing get entry and then image
Hmm.
and then the ID. But what I'm doing here for get static parts is I'm just going to pass it in as a prop. It's just simpler. So what I will then do is I will have, let's, okay. Welcome to,
Okay, yeah, we'll put the particular image, something about it.
so let's do, there we go. It's typed it, everything in
Yeah.
there. And welcome to image ID.
Okay.
And
Then we got our
then
image, obviously, and then the alt
let's
text.
let's do
Oh yeah, the unpick one, or oh no, Astro image. Sorry.
yeah, let's do and then I'm going to do layout full width to make it
Okay.
a hero image. And while we're at it, let's add some links.
Oh yeah, true. And again, just to reiterate the strong the typing in the collections and the loader data and everything. It just I don't know. It's like people are so used to having the IntelliSense now, so it's just really nice DX having all that.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, and particularly when you've got a complicated shape like this, I
Hmm.
wouldn't be able to remember any of that. Oh, blur
Yeah.
hash. I noticed I
Okay, so
got
you
blur
could.
hash. Oh, actually, I've probably got background as well. Oh, I've got color. So there we go. I will do background equals,
Blur hash or oh
so I'm
color
going
and
to do
then
the
the
this one. And yeah, so let's give this a go.
so we'll need an
Right, these are links
ID.
now. Montreal, Toronto.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, it's loaded. There we go. Oh, that's great. Yeah,
so
that's
let's make this. Um, let's give it a background. Oh yeah, I hadn't got colored. I haven't put the background um, as a shared style, but
oh yeah,
let's
yeah.
just let's just dump that in there. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'll do. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And then we can go back. We can go.
To the next one and then
These are
cool. Yeah, and I guess one question I had is so like with the get static paths, like let's just say for argument's sake that Unsplash was using Astro now. Um, they're not going to load their millions of static paths. So like I imagine you can do kind of piecemeal, like where you can say like load I guess the today's 1,000 images, and then the other ones can kind of just get loaded on demand as people hit those URLs.
Absolutely. And then if you set up, I've got this. This is currently doing static static builds here, so I've not got it
Yeah,
set up for server side rendering. But
yeah,
if I did Astro add node or Astro add Netlify or whatever, um, then I'm able to also do fully dynamic server side rendered pages,
yeah,
which means I can get rid of get static paths if I want to, and then dynamically load the params that have been passed in from here, and then use that to
yeah,
load from the collection at that point. And that would then just mean that you don't need to do any of the rendering. You've got the data loaded, and it's
yeah,
the loaded data is cached and frozen, so you're not going to hit your rate limits, but
yeah,
you are going to be able to just load them dynamically when you want to. So that
yeah,
is one of the things that can be done on there. So
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
let's
Like I know we don't need to dig
let's
into
do
that now. I know, but just more
yeah,
just throwing it out there for the people, and obviously then you could use good old HTTP and CDN caching with headers, and
yeah,
then you're off to the
absolutely,
races. Yeah,
yes,
no, that's
exactly.
super cool. Yeah, like so like obviously we were just hitting the Unsplash API here, but like obviously you have your own API for whatever you're building, or I guess like even you're hooked up to a CMS. Like we haven't looked at. I think there's some CMS ones I couldn't remember in the community loaders. I know there's the Astro Cloudinary one because I just happened to see it, and I think Colby was talking about it the other day. But like it's same thing with like CMS data, just you can just store that and like cache it for as long as you need to, and again, getting into the weeds a bit, but you could basically invalidate like a CMS page in Astro at some point with however you want to handle that logic. And then it just goes again and then just pulls in the latest content, like once you publish, for example.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got this is one of the nice things about the way that the loaders are defined. So you see that if we've got the um, the the loader here is just a function that's being exported from this file. It wouldn't
Yeah.
take much to make this a node module, and that's kind
Yeah.
of the way that. And so when we're doing that, what I haven't included here is that you can then actually move your schema into the loader, so the user doesn't
Okay.
need to define any of that stuff. So I could go in here, or um, I
Oh,
could
okay. Okay.
grab this, and then I could do put the schema in here, and then the
Then there's
user would
nothing
not
for them
need
to
to
worry
know
about.
anything. They would just
Yeah.
have this, and now they've got a typed collection there. And this would be then what you distribute is this loader, and you would
Yeah.
import that from whatever. And as you saw the RSS feed loader, that was effectively the same kind of deal. And then
Yeah.
all you need to do there, you define your stuff, and then you that would help.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just got to re-import Zod, but yeah. But yeah, no, that's super cool, and it's like it we were talking through this the whole time, but honestly, it seemed pretty quick to build these out. Like, um, you know, you just went to Unsplash as an example, but like this all seems very approachable, and I'll drop a link to the docs again, but definitely check that out. And I guess my main question right now is the content layer is definitely very stable right now. Is it officially released, or is it because I think it's you still have to add the experimental flag, or is that no longer the case?
So if you're in Astro 4, you need to add
Okay.
the experimental flag. Astro 5 is in beta. You don't
Okay.
need to add the experimental flag there. I know it's a bit confusing. You either get your framework as experimental or you get your feature as experimental. You take your pick. We've been using the Astro 5 here. Now in
Okay.
Astro 5, all of your collections by default will use content layer under the hood. So even if you've got your old ones that you haven't changed over to use new loaders or anything, they'll be handled by the content layer themselves,
Yeah.
automatically. And but you can then also create your ones that you've got there with the uh, content content
Oh, cool.
loaders and globs and all that kind of stuff if you want to, once you want to move it over.
Okay, cool. Side note, with that picture there with the silo with the little pink house on it, uh
Yeah,
that's that's in it's right beside, there's a Saint Ambroise brewery in Montreal, and I can't remember why that house is on top there. Somebody used to live in it, I think, but I don't think anymore. But anyways, if you're ever in town, I'll take you for a pint and we can go stare at that pink house. So
I think brown building is somewhat underselling it here, really, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
This
So
is what makes me think that the description is AI generated. Um,
yeah, brown, yeah, missed the pink part, but
yeah, they're burying
awesome.
the lead there.
But no, this has been super cool. Appreciate you taking the time to just kind of break things down. So like again, I dropped a link to the documentation for the content loader if people want to get that for a spin. If you're using like just the existing content collections, like I had been loading like a glob of Markdown. There's actually a glob loader like Matt was saying now, and you can probably just switch straight to using the new content layer. And there's a ton of community ones. I'll have to find the link to that. Um, Give me 2 seconds here, but oh no, actually, it's in your blog post, I think.
Yeah.
Let me find that again, and actually, I'll drop a link to that blog post again because that's here. Yeah, I'll drop it here. Yeah, check out in the blog post. There's a whole list of community ones. There's a bunch that Matt's made because, like, obviously he's been working on this. Like, if you have any kind of RSS feed stuff, I definitely recommend you check that out. I've started to use it. It's not in production yet. I have to finish tweaking a couple things. It pulls in everything correctly, but I'm using it for my YouTube feed, and I noticed it doesn't pull in certain data. Like the way I do it right now, I have like I'm using Airtable, and then I pull up my YouTube URL, but then it looks like I think I was using the RSS parser before, and you can set some metadata on the YouTube RSS feed returned, and I think there's a couple things in there, and I'm gonna dig into it, but I might end
That's
up.
probably means that that's missing from my schema. So I might need to actually change the schema so that it will return um, all like unknown things as well. Because at the moment,
Yeah,
because it's the God schema, it'll strip out unknown stuff. So that is a, if anyone wants to give a contribution, or I'll get
yeah,
round there at some point to add the missing fields to the schema on the
yeah. I was
RSS
gonna
thing.
say I'll probably file an issue just showing where it's missing, and then who knows? Maybe I'll do that PR. We'll see. I got a bit of a busy month, but that definitely sounds like a good candidate for me to create a pull request. But
So this is the loader here. The feed loader is the one that does RSS feeds and
yeah,
atom feeds and podcasts and all that all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. The um, the
Do you mind
schema,
zooming in just a couple times?
yeah.
Ah, perfect.
So the schema has got quite a bit in it, but there's probably extra stuff that needs adding into it, and I can probably tell it to pass through any extra stuff that it's unknown that
Yeah.
YouTube is stuck on there or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's very specific to YouTube because like when I pulled in like other RSS stuff, it's pretty standard. So, but yeah,
yeah, that
I'm
is a
gonna take
thing
a
that they do. They stick, a lot of things seem to stick these extra fields on there, and the schema's got some of that stuff, which particularly the stuff to do with podcasts has got a lot of Apple specific bits that are stuck on
yeah,
there too. But yeah, I think that would that would be good to add in there. But
yeah. I'll try and get an issue filed before I head to Toronto this weekend. Um, cool, cool. But yeah, just want to say, Matt, thanks again for just going through all this. Super helpful. I'm excited about this stuff. I'm a big fan of Astro, so just having these things just means I think you're going to see a Cambrian explosion of people creating all kinds of loaders for stuff they need. So, and we all know from what we've seen from the Astro community, they're very engaging. So I'd be very surprised if there wasn't an explosion of loaders created. But um,
I'm really hoping for it, and I'm I want to say if there's people who are creating them and have got questions or need help or anything, you can jump into the Astro Discord server, which is where the best place to ask about any Astro related stuff, and you can get to that from astro.build/chat,
yeah,
and the you will find us in there, and you'll find me in there. Um, I am I'm a Scorbic at most places. Um,
yeah. Does that have to do with acid? I was always curious, like vitamin C.
it is the vitamin C. Um, I've had that. Well, you mentioned that I was a chef. I used to be a
Oh
pastry
yeah, yeah.
chef, so did a lot of you know things with fruits and stuff like that. And when I
Okay.
created when I first chose that username, it was it was 25 years ago.
Holy
It was
cool.
when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Um, and I was working as a chef, so I was like, I am Mr. Fruit person, because I did a lot of fruity dishes. So that's where it came from, and here we are. 25 years later, still got the same username.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's where you'll find me. I'm that on Twitter and GitHub and stuff,
Cool,
and
cool.
in Discord you can find me in the Astro Discord too.
Cool, cool. Well, thanks again, and everybody, thanks for joining in the chat, and thanks for all the great questions, and thanks for Colby and from Cloudinary popping in, Sarah from the Astro team, and Fuzzy and everybody else. And I'm trying to see, do I have a nothing's
We
going on
lost
next week?
Have
What's
we
that?
stayed? Have we lost the view here?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I accidentally stopped that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the stream's still live. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead drop the schedule if folks want to check it out. Uh, I'm giving a talk in a few weeks, so my streaming schedule is a little kind of all over the place at the moment, but definitely have some exciting stuff coming out. I'm excited. This is a little later on, but it's in December. But going to be hanging with the creator of the Waku framework, the minimal
Ah,
React framework. So I'm
cool.
excited to dig into that because I'm just curious what he's built, considering he doesn't have to have the whole burden of like Next.js was the first one to do the React Server components, but they have like all baggage isn't necessarily the word, but like it's there's a lot in Next.js, and he started greenfield with this, so I'm curious to see what it looks like, and we're gonna dig into that. And there's a few other things. I'll probably have a few more guests coming on soon. I've just been busy with talks and stuff. So, but yeah, take care, everybody. And Matt, if you don't mind just staying on for 1 second, and everybody else, we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.